Hey everyone, Sir Timbers here. With the new release of Rocket League for the Nintendo Switch and the flurry of new players that will be playing this game for the very first time, I thought it would be a good idea to give my top 10 tips for new Nintendo Switch users and just beginners in general. These are in no particular order, but we'll start with what I feel is one of the most important things to change early on in Rocket League. The first thing you should do when you get into Rocket League is change your camera settings. I love Psionics, but the default camera settings can often give players motion sickness due to how close and zoomed in the camera feels. To quickly go over what each setting does, here is the rundown. Camera FOV will widen your view the higher it is. A higher camera FOV can be good for seeing more of what's going on around the field, but if you raise it too high, you may experience a fisheye effect. Camera distance is the distance your camera is behind your car. With higher camera distance, you can see more of what's behind the ball because your camera is further away, but it will often make it more difficult to control your car due to the fact that your camera is so far back. Camera height raises your camera's default position. A higher camera height makes it easier to see where your opponents are behind the ball, but it makes it more difficult to read where the ball is going to be when it's above your car. Camera angle changes the angle of the camera. Put this too low and it will be like you're playing a real-time strategy game. Put it too high and you won't have a good view of the field. Camera stiffness is how free the camera acts when following your car. The lower the setting, the further it will zoom out at high speeds. The higher the setting, the more glued it will be to your car. Swivel speed is basically your camera sensitivity. Adjust this setting however you like, it's really not too important. Last but not least is the most important camera setting in Rocket League, camera shake. Turn this off, please. You will thank me later. Up on the screen right now are my camera settings that a lot of people have asked for in the past videos. If these settings do not do it for you, I will leave a list of other camera settings that other players seem to enjoy, but feel free to customize any of them to your liking. While using someone else's camera settings may help you out a little bit, it won't magically make you as good as said player. For those that don't know, the power slide button is essentially your drift button. It can help you turn at a sharper angle at the cost of losing some speed, or it can help you land smoother on the ground after falling. It may be difficult for newer players to understand when to utilize a power slide, but over time you will begin to understand it for yourself. One way to practice power sliding is to go into training, face slightly away from the ball, and try to power slide so that your car's nose is pointing directly at the ball. The air roll button allows you to rotate your car while in midair, which can be useful for a variety of things. If you're having problems landing your car right side up, one tip is to practice your air roll recovery. Go into free play, drive up the wall, jump off of it, and try to use your air roll button to land your car with all four wheels on the ground. For added practice, try to land facing the ball. Anytime you find yourself flailing out of control in a game, try to make the conscious decision to use your air roll button to put your car into a good position for landing. You may have seen some high-level players spinning and doing some pretty cool tricks using the air roll button. This is actually known as freestyling. While it can be insanely fun and interesting to look at, don't worry about practicing this until way later into the game. One tip I would suggest doing as early as possible is switching your power slide and air roll button to either bumper of your controller. With the default controls, your right hand is doing much more work than your left hand, so it is suggested to move it over from the left bumper in order to not overwhelm your right hand. It's better to change this earlier on so you don't have to unlearn the default controls at a later time. Remember that you can't really use power slide and air roll at the same time, so there's no reason not to set them on the same button. An important tip to know is that you gain speed when flipping, although not as quickly as boosting. At the same time, holding your boost and flipping simultaneously will actually waste boost and slow you down. However, if you time your flips and your boost correctly so that they don't interfere with each other, you will waste less boost and go supersonic as fast as you would by just holding down boost. Hold boost, flip forward, and just before your flip is halfway complete, let go of the boost. Even better, by corner flipping you can boost throughout most of your flip. Just practice this over and over until you get your timing down. One of the problems that most new players deal with is whether or not to use ball cam. Ball cam, for those who don't know, causes a camera to focus itself on the ball no matter which way your car is facing. When out of ball cam, your camera focuses in the direction your car is facing. Both cameras have their benefits, and it's important to learn when to go in or out of ball cam. But for most new players, I suggest keeping ball cam on most of the time, except perhaps maybe when going for boost. Later on, it can be highly beneficial to go out of ball cam when attempting to dribble the ball or to be more precise with the shot. One thing you may see consistently at lower levels is a designated goalie. While in the beginning it can help your team win, don't get too used to this idea. A designated goalie will cripple your team's rotation, which in itself deserves its own tutorial. Try your best to not stay in net and instead move out when you know you have a teammate who is ready to defend the net in your place. Fail to move out of the net and you will be subject to constant bombardment by the opposing team. When defending your net, try your best to clear it away from the center of your side of the field. This will prevent your opponents from instantly countering your clear to a possible shot. A good way to break your opponent's rotation or just starve them a boost is to get a good demo when the opportunity arises. You will hear complaints from plenty of players saying that demolitions are in some way cheating or a cheap tactic. Ignore them. You'll see players demoing each other even at the highest level of Rocket League. Even if you don't have boost, it's never a bad idea to just give your opponent a little bump. A word of caution though, overdoing it or missing a demo will often leave you out of position with no boost to get back. Everything in moderation. When I started playing Rocket League, I was amazed to see players utilizing their boost to send them high in the sky. I did my best to practice aerials, but no matter how hard I tried, I found that some high-level players were always able to beat me to the ball. This next tip should help you get to the air faster than most of your opponents. A basic aerial goes like this. You jump, you pull back your left thumbstick, and then you quickly hold boost. To do a quick aerial, press your jump button, pull back on your left thumbstick, and hold boost all at the same time. This is faster than a basic aerial because you're getting off the ground and using your boost instantly. There are actually ways of getting into the air even faster. I have a whole tutorial on how to do that, and I recommend you check that out after this video if you're at all interested. While all of these tips are great, the best thing you can do to get better at Rocket League is to practice. The final tip I have is to utilize the training packs that the community has created. While some are more advanced and probably too difficult for the majority of Rocket League players, I have compiled a list of basic training packs for players of all different skill levels, and you can find those in the description below. Just to make sure that those new to the games understand, all you have to do is take the code for the pack that you would like to use, and you put that code at the bottom of the Custom Training tab where it says Enter Code. The default aerial, striker, and goalie training modes work perfectly fine if you don't want to hassle with the training packs. One honorable mention that I had decided wasn't important enough to have its own top 10 spot is the power slide trick. A trick with the power slide button that not many people may know is that it actually can act as a cruise control for your car when you are going in a straight line. What this means is that technically if you were going supersonic and you held down your power slide button, you would never leave supersonic speeds unless you turned your car. While not exactly the most useful trick, there are some more obscure moments where it may come in handy. If anything, it's just kind of fun to mess around with. Another honorable mention is to simply find players who are near your skill level and party up with them. It's definitely not necessary, but can help when you're trying to communicate and play with people who are maybe not as toxic as some of the player base tends to be. Also, I know I'm going to get a lot of people asking what the best car is, and for that, I would highly suggest going and watching my best car video. The video goes over why people use certain cars more than others, and what's different between all of the cars. Another thing I actually forgot to mention in the last video was to thank all my viewers so much for helping me reach over 1 million views on the best car video. That's been a bucket list thing for me, and you guys helped that come true. I was actually shocked it received so much attention, as it's really not a normal tutorial. In fact, I should ask you, my viewers, if you have any non-tutorial suggestions. I couldn't think of many, and I don't know of any video that can really rival the best car video, but I thought I'd just ask. Those are the top 10 tips for new players that I found to be useful when starting out in Rocket League. Thank you so much for watching. Once again, a huge thanks to Mr. Phillip for helping me edit these videos while I'm injured. I understand that the majority of my subscriber base probably are not beginners and therefore probably didn't find this video too helpful, but some people suggested that I make a video to introduce some of the new players to Rocket League, whether or not they play on PC, Xbox, PS4, or the Switch, and I thought it was a great idea. I can assure you that there are more advanced tutorials coming out in the future, but if you have any suggestions, you can leave them in the comment section below or tweet at me at Sir_Timbers, or just come by to say hi. Thank you all for watching, and I hope you have a wonderful day.